actually custom yourself to the fact that okwa said no so umpo na wunia the other partner will definitely eat that food. So when the other partner, that is his or her traditional food, and that person will definitely eat it. So you have to adjust to that,
okay,
and allow the person to enjoy that. So that is just one of the AKB. Funerals is one of the things that we normally, actually, when people are getting married.
Okay.
One thing that they normally not actually look at when it comes to cultural differences is funerals.
Okay.
A year. I can for you. Oko ever. I will vote my moi or more yunku. Okon crime or more yunku. O buy srans wa a yunku. But Sawako worry obia or ya canny. Now once you said ye, Nukrum way ye no, AKB. One we abakwe yasi, Baba Tomra. Obako ever for a yasi. So once you say, or partner near Evany, and now ye beni, inti or more ye say no more yenoa. Come on, Rohon was a way, since ABA, we are a soonty. Bawuni moi, Obatum. These are some of those things. We need to actually learn these things and appreciate them. AKB. It is very, very important. The family system.
Yeah.
We have every tribe and how they actually esteem the family system, how they uphold the family system. If we come to the north, the way they uphold the family system is different from when you go to other areas. We are talking about Ghana, other areas in Ghana. It is totally different. So we need to appreciate what the cultural values, the practices of the people are, so that if you are getting married in that jurisdiction, then you know what you are actually in for, so that it doesn't become an issue afterwards. Because if you don't appreciate and respect the culture of your other significant other partner, then it becomes an issue.
Okay.
That is where the conflicts and the tensions actually come in. In Ghana, we have it here that it's a somebody says an open truth that there are certain people who actually look down upon some other tribes. Some tribes look down upon some other tribes, and so if you are in to get married to somebody from that tribe, then you should be ready to respect that person's culture and values, irrespective of where you are coming from.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very, very much. So we're looking at love without borders, navigating cultural differences in marriage. That's what we're looking at this evening on Love 360, and we've been joined by Titus Osei-Bobie, who is a relationship expert and a counselor, and my co-host as well. Last week, last minute, I'm saying Titus, one name ya mitiatio. One Jimmy mitiati, or see, oh, I did for you. I just am my friend. Titus.
I'm not just one kind.
I just only hope. Is that a you in Colaya? A color pediani, and that's why you see a coffee goes. I just said,
me name it you. Me never do back on your friend push you.
That's already I know coffee. Echo waste. I just only hope. I never call ball and
any probably do assassin so. Yet the chef fertilizer and Kagani bit me if you know. It me the dear near to a friend with Maka or Bako. Kushigu, a ball. Just a crubia of cotton to be a Jedian dinking come. Maka or Kumase, Kushigu a cry, a ball and cry.
What's it?
But I'm a little bit worried. I'm Jedian.
What am I?
Is it me, Papa? Maybe Miss Lakajo was Bobby did it was Munjan or what? I'll teach you when you're veggie. Oh,
Munina. Critical.
Comment did young come to protest. But I did my judge himself. Oh, it did. Oh, won't buy no money, I can do but the woman did dinner, so wait,
Afa, me am subai. Me am subai no mafa. You titles here, share navigating cultural differences.
Yes.
In marriage. Yes. So Same has set the ball rolling already. So let's hear your opening remarks. He's told us about what culture is, and we've also looked at the cultural examples of cultural differences. Yeah, in marriage. So far, that's what we've looked at.
Maybe it's very critical. We sometimes, I'll say, Christianity has brought a different dimension to life. But Christianity is also, in a way, culture. And I'm saying this cautiously because it has also brought a way of life for a particular set of people. And then also religion has become culture in a way because foreign, religion came here and it had its own principles. Then we had our tradition, which the tradition, within that tradition, we also had our way of life where it responds to how we should be, how we should live our life, how we should do things. You can't throw culture away. You can't really. Sammy gave a very good submission in that. It affects every aspect of our life. In fact, what if fufu esi nipa mi enim AKB ni baako, Asante ni baako, Dagomba ni baako, fufu. One will ask for okro in addition. Baako beka se ma minkruma nka ho. Baako be dini ene nkwan na de ma ne sa. The way cry e betwa fufu no is affected by where we are brought up from. Okay. We should also bear in mind.
And the type of fufu.
And the type of fufu. Obi pen banche, obi pen bayire, obi pen and also ewo hono. Because Sami came from the angle of explaining how it affects Yenyema Bisan, I would like to tow a different angle so that probably along the line. The fact that culture affects the way we do our things. We are also living in an era where we have mixed up cultures. Enti Aigbenia watina Igbe folk room all his life is different from Aigbenia yewo no one crime. Dem come to say the Gombani watina Tamale is different from the Gombani yewo no one crime. In fact, the Gombani watina crime for a long time is different from the Gombani watina Tamale all his life, Uncle Baby. It means that, yes, the culture of Yewo Dagomba in an environment where you are pure as a can, but utumi kotina baby na sub culture yedetete wono etumi nyama bi utumi sua nyama bi fra kakra. I've done a little bit of observation even here in Tamale. One thing I saw is that people who have lived, the Gomba men or any man who has lived in this town and went to Accra to work for a while and comes back, ni ye down so kakra, saying omo matina kronum bebre. So talking about beyond borders like love, intercultural, all these things. Baby, I want to kwan kwa bridge kra ba. Esesa osu ban esesa osu kakra wan hwe to kwan kwa bridge ba. Asante ni pa de nsa mienu twa kontron mwa di fufu be ka se o di atre fork and knife in a very day. And say they wako bogaba. And there are people who also hold their culture to the core. That wherever they go, they try as much as possible, say, they keep it together. Not to wipe away the fact, say, in Yamabi or no man Sunday, but in Yamabi sign, especially the way I G warrior. With all modernization, we are done. I was say, in Yamabi or wa, Odeko, one fan qua, our real near day. yenji. Esan say the culture is also important. The way we have lived our life also builds certain kind of character. We should also bear in mind say culture biya tribe biya nipa free biya lifestyle biya we live biya no, it builds character. Inti the culture of Ewes build a certain level of character in them. Inti Ewe for Suban different from Asante for Suban, is different from Dagomba men. In fact, even in the northern here, you can pick 3 northerners, and by virtue of where they come from, you can say this is a Gonja man, this is a Dagomba man, this is a Mamprisi man, depending on certain features. In Yamabu Honuma, it is common for all northerners or all accounts. But when you dig deeper, or if you observe very clearly, you see that something is usunye ewu. This is something people don't really consider when they are entering into the relationship or marriage setting. If you are dating somebody in the upper regions, Upper East. If you are dating somebody in Upper East, none himself to me to name Chia. No Biafra. Because then to have that Matese if you to me worry Upper East. Omu to me will no more de busiaka. Inti I say, oh, my take case be I say, in ya and nchi also tono on to ye inti nkwala no nye enye ne dia. We wu nipa na we yo inti ye twi protest ewo side no me koja madam for be eko one of the tribes I heard say obedo efuama was as part of the right. This is how, aside a yene, for even the marriage contracting itself is so diverse that you have to consider all these things and be mindful of it. Say, Nipano baby ofi, nyama bi wo honoma eye moja. Ha, edidia ko moja ni. Asante ni bia e ote kokoso nana. Enti eba no critical, we won say was started, hey, uni baby am fi. Uni me fi am free mo Kumasi.
We won't free who.
Oh, free who. It is part of it. It's our forefathers have lived in a particular way, and when you come out of it, it's there. As soon as you reach in an environment, the environment, one way or the other, that culture, that way of life, you tend to admire that way of life. Yeah. So it is very critical and important topic that we are talking about today. And I believe that by the time we end, people's attention will even be drawn that, hey, this person I'm with, this is what I should expect. Because in Nyamabi de facto, that person may exhibit certain default nature.
Okay.
Intitiene baby a coin to any be kakra and a bemana money and now be polishino. But Ushemushumu and Kasan Nipanesa not here because the culture and then this and amana abanesa.
Okay. Thank you very much. So Sammy, coming back to you now. We are looking at cultural differences in marriage. So does it mean before you enter into any marriage, especially if the partner you are marrying is not from your it's not your countryman, let me put it that way, do you have to learn the person's culture before you enter into the marriage?
AKB.
Yeah.
I know of a gentleman who was supposed to get married to somebody in one of the areas in Upper East. And there are two issues. There are two cases I'll talk about. The first one, I learned in the Sandema area.
Okay.
You would have to carry or buy a bag of salt or pepper. One of those. He was not aware.
Hey.
Obana or na hono firo.
You do for us.
I wear your friends as everybody.
I don't want the view.
And as number.
What I heard was maybe those people from there can actually
Call in and
call
let
in
us know,
and,
yeah.
that when you get to the town, you're supposed to carry that thing on your head traditionally
Oh, okay.
to your in-laws'
House.
Okay.
and he never knew about
Entered
it.
the house without coming.
He never knew about it.
Marriage without
And it was a
borders.
serious issue.
Ajita.
He mentioned of one other area where the man died and they were talking about the children. I remember I did a little investigation, especially in the Upper East, Tongo area. I made fun of, there was this lady I met and we were having a discussion and I was like, oh, I'm interested in youth. I was like, oh, Jai, I can need the some of the moon could have moon be
Okay.
over canis are quiet and no crack. And I'm so no crack and I was just trying to learn. So when she was like, no, she knows that me. At that time I was working there. I mean, she knows that definitely I will. It's the one that has brought me there. Definitely I would.
Kind of
Kind of
Very critical.
So I took it to a different level, wanting to ask questions about all this. I was like, there is something very important that most men, when they come to marry from their side, if you don't know, they will not tell you.
Okay.
Don't tell you.
They will not tell you.
Okay.
But then, when if there is probably say a divorce or something,
Before they will tell you.
Near the deal.
and then that is where
You
you
pull that
realize
card.
that you know when you go, they would the rights, the list or whatever you are supposed to provide, everything they will mention everything you go. But there is something.
One thing
I
that
think he should mention, is it 5 guinea fowls?
that will give you ownership.
Which normally they don't.
5 guinea
I think
fowls.
5 guinea fowls. I've
Just
forgotten
anya
about
ade
it.
bebre kese ebimpo.
Kiti.
Which normally they don't add to the
The
list.
list.
If you are not somebody who knows
To ask why.
the culture and the tradition, you wouldn't know. And when she mentioned, so like she's telling me because I'm not from there and I want to learn about something. I was like, when you go, sometimes the women who want to, especially Upper East, many lessons is that if you are a woman and you get married and you cheat on your husband, there are so many implications.
Yeah.
So many ladies who quote unquote want to go into the marriage to
Have
test,
their own, yeah.
to try it, will tell their family, don't take the guinea or don't add the guinea fowl to the list. So that when she goes
And this is okay.
and it is fine, then maybe
She can
They'll
But
tell
if-
you to bring.
yes. But if it is not fine, and that guinea fowls gives you ownership of the children.
yes.
So if you have not paid for those guinea fowls, the children that will come in the marriage
Nyao dia.
are not yours.
Hey.
If the woman by I think I'm trying to if the woman cheats on you, quote unquote, I mean that consequences that they fear so much is not there. That is one thing she actually also mentioned. So I was like, so why don't they actually mention this? I was like, many of the women will want to go into the marriage and try and see how.
What try say?
Oh, yeah, so I'm just sure. If you have any more crowd,
So these are some things that you would. So okay, it is very, very important that before you get into the marriage, you can't learn everything, but there are some basics
That you need to.
that you need to ask. Internet is quite worry
Bisa.
but unfortunately, although every
Asem o.
and the questions that we are supposed to actually ask,
We don't.
we don't.
Have you eaten?
AKB, ebi ashishe awaria, but they don't even know the where the guy or the lady comes
from.
Onimba bi ofiri.
Wow.
And you see, he mentioned when you go into cultures,
Yeah.
then you might have some things that are general,
Okay.
even in some cultures. But when you go into communities,
Yeah.
there are some differences.
Specifics, yeah.
Until you go into a culture, and we will just mention, or I can afford the same. But AKB, go into the various Akan dialects. Asante, Bono, Achim, Krapim, Fante, Zusunie, Ebi, Ko, Ebia, Bono, and Asante. Na ko Kromu. No differences be it is very, very important that you actually know where your partner that you want to get married to is coming from.
Wow.
Na bisan. Say, mo worry amamre no say na tie. And this I will be our free ho and I will name ho amamre. Then ask.
Now ebi na who can say like the one of the upper regions here. Yan sheda oba nan kasa kra o ware no be sheda ka say mamu mfanka ho na no wana be ka kire.
I said to Mikobisa.
That's why you are supposed to, it's not just the family.
Yes.
Ask other people.
Ask other people, other friends, other elders.
Ask other people. So you just don't go say abusuano kwa, you are going to ask around. And you will know more. AKB. Ebi abayo apeso ware no. Suba bi kura ebi e wo ho. Abusuano so mo baba.
Sa.
And on peso ware no. And this abusuano be no
Cancer.
On say ebi abusuano, those are those days na ka oh ebi ebisa ebi abusuano yare ebi wo mu ebi abusuano bibi habi ana ebi no me bi na da ebisa ni na. But AKB abusuano akwa ware mu. Na sa abusuano akwa okobisa omo.
Ano kan.
Na so habi wo ha be ka kire. Say ka kire abeko. But ask around. Bisa afufro ewo. Na yam so they will tell you about where you are actually going. So it is very important that you learn the culture of your partner. And that is one of the ways that we would use to navigate around.
Okay.
Okay, when you're ready, so be sure they are. Then you made any what na? When you're ready, made any what na? So you have to learn it. And okay, you see, sometimes you would even know it better than your other partner.
Okay.
Because sometimes, like you said, mixed culture, borrowed culture, where the person was giving birth to and where the person has stayed and all that. Maybe AKB is an Akan, an Ashanti. But make us a young AKB, I was Ashanti. Yeah, but we know what that
The Gumba district. Abdullah Hussein. Memuna not hono.
Why bibia?
Yes.
Enti akanfo ha de e be hia e be kasa e be din komo na dade. But where AKB recently me kwa yi ofie. And I mo say me akan.
We akan so why ira? Why ira? Why fiam to makura unto me. Aira.
And I mo say na say de ye wa ha do tu ye ho ye do ye sa ko hele de masa. Yeah, we can then kitu mu kra.
Na ukasa wan hwe otwi kasa kra.
Ebaya.
Okwa ye de sero.
Na megasi ye kwa yi na ye bo nyum na yesu dwomu ayesa me to nyum afi mi wi ana me papa baba akwa ye frɛ like ajakuma na so na wo to nyum no sana masa
Yes, why you and you know
to na wo to nyum no sana ye de ka na msa e me to say ma me be me phone so na me nkyerɛ nyum do egu so miti I say they himself more. But AKB that notwithstanding, there were so many traditions and so many cultures that AKB obika me yet until say I went and I saw it. And sometimes you may not even know you the person. That's other partner of yours might not even know some of them. And you know it is good that you seek to learn and even learn with that your partner. Mary Achimni. As you be some is your because of Santini.
For naturalize it.
Bisan say ne papa ya Asantini.
Okay.
Nso akamfo de we have
yeah.
Tini mama ya chimni pure na na papa ya Asantini. Enso Asantimamu ene ye wo. Watna ndu bisan no sisi ya wasi o ya Asantini. Bisan say wakwa achimamu empredo do sen. Me na mitwa me ho kire me yere achim mama me. So that is how it is. So it is very important that you learn it from your partner. If your partner does not know, it could be there are so many other areas. And idea, it's easy to learn
Anything.
If
you want to know.
Exactly, it is easy to learn anything. Enti adesua no de ehu hia. Say ye besua baby e pese ye kwa aware no. Amamre wo ho. Because se wan hu na amamre wo ho a asemba na hu sa
obi nka bi ma wo.
Asemba na hu sa amamre wo ho. Na amamre nso edidiwa.
Ne ya.
AKB.
Obebo nsem. Obebo nsem.
Ya say fe kwa.
Em say ayi oma omutimi ayire omo ho anase consciously. Say me sua me hu kani amamre usa brofom yes ade no ade.
Yes. They are very good at that.
For them it is not even about their partners, but AKB, look at how they learn other people's culture when they want to when they just go to where they to them.
Yes.
Said omo bagana omo sheda
They give their all.
Omo sua kra hu chain.
Oh.
And that is the irony of it.
One we we can history actually.
Exactly.
Who knew that?
No, but truth be told, ye ya mamra ya trotro ni na ho amna trotro.
Omo no santro mai.
Ya tete sem abako sem ai gu.
Nah, the omo pe no trotro mai.
History. I can for history sa ho do ne. Ene and to kwa ho do ne ai ekebi ho amu no matra mai. It is them. They have come to live with us, to study and then write it down for us. Ya ankasa no ntumi nyawe.
Where they?
Ye de na ye de anu ye de anoka. Oral history passed on to generations.
From generation to
Yes,
generation.
that is it. Because se me catch the wa. Also they all catch the ma. It can be they will
Baby and favor me and EBS.
Sanity.
Then I say Ghana sana kon.
Everywhere. So it is hard time we begin to actually have that sense of purpose that we want to learn our culture, we want to learn our traditions. Or can we be initially, as I make us say Christianity and other religions have come to actually, but it can be amamre. Christo by wa meto amra nhwe o ji fu amamre no wa meto antwene ji fu amamre no wa meto antwene our age na amamre so enti amamre amamre so yo Christo ni so ye den amamre amamre uwa o se ye wo ye beye Christo by so kan ye hu ase wankwa awareje awareje si obi kan ho kra na koye ne
okoye ne century ni edikan
die ni huye eni zenka enya de emu hi a anka obekwa koye sa de no emu hi a Lazarus we wanko na yi okoye to amra na ntwe enti e wo si esua amamre just eno na be because it can be adidi yaduane ayedi yentuma yentade ayehye eni bibia aye bia no
amamre
ene ka se me front ma
Evesa by force
just all the pin boom.
That is a too much.
No.
Or the pegs are not pin boom baby. I just said the new big words for bedroom. So
because I mean every minute. Yeah, na. I'm say
money
and I'm say oh, you money be front man. If you remember about one. I'm say ye me na akoni aba nyina na ebe di
be different man
Oboa.
I'm say bra so okay
Kanu kure.
and my friend na ye and akoni aba bia ho asem no nim fran odi to America see AKB is very important say we would learn each other's.
Let me add something small to the learning.
Okay.
It's critical we learn. I mean, what is the definition of love? Okay, how depending on your understanding of love, and love is interpreted differently from different people. So sometimes one of the challenges of love is that you may do something as a way of loving your spouse, but on an interpretation of love no nye de wo ye no nti wo de why say why your best, but really it is not how she interprets it. Can you imagine marrying an Akan marrying an Ewe person? This is an Ewe guy who has eaten akple and fetidichi for the past 32 years of his life, only for him to marry an Akan woman. No, so that they bia or yampesi, they bia or the fufu, they be or yampesi, they be or fufu, they be or yampesi. Adding. So love tells you that I have to give this man some, there is something about growing up and eating certain foods to grow up. Sometimes, to some extent, the smart women even go to the mothers of these men and say, "Me kunu o nyine no eduane be no pepa." Ya ka cho so, "Oh, ukunu de, onya fufuo ni katekonto a." Wawie. Ma wo katekonto ye ni sen. Oh, say, ni say. I mean, one family gathering, your mother-in-law will be cooking that food. There is nothing that prevents you from going to learn the culture. Katekonto krona Fantini prepare a different from Asantini, how I can will prepare. The same ayoyo, when a Dagoma woman prepares, is different from a Gunja woman will prepare. In fact, some will put the ingredients in the order in which they put. The taste will definitely be different. So, if you love your spouse, for the marriage to spice up, for your children to also carry on heritage of both family. No, you are not just even learning your husband or your spouse way of life. You should go far to even learn the language. Okay. Na se woko ni krom ni e ka se oba no wadore side o mi enkochi ni mi amekon a. What you mean, Johnny? What you have a window? Udru. No, you.
That are not Madame for when I'm no. Echo a year when you crom na ye bano.
Yeah.
Just say you do obiana on me kaka se so. Rami go cram na ya take move from the village back to Accra na mama ba ko tie chi na ni abre na on me na kasa wo. Okay me nu okai be na me hwe ni say ya. Okay, we are now say, ma, Bentio. Mammy, the boy for say, what is that? Just say, oh, Miss, I am part of
Okala listen, your brother number 9.
So, Mickey, Madame was say, dear, Missing take us on. Madame, we saw Messer or you need Papa. What is it?
What is why I've been here when why you cry?
Hey, my room, it's yate. Kaka say, I'm here, some abane.
It's very, very important. I think that if you should learn the language of your spouse, the family will accept you as part of them, not just as a visitor, but as part of them. Yeah. When you are able to speak somebody's language, the person automatically sees you as a brother or a sister, wherever you are. So if you're able to learn your spouse, it's critical. Learn the food, learn the dance, learn how they live, ask somebody to, if you can't go to ask someone to teach you how to prepare akple Ask someone to teach you how to pound fufu the Akan way. Let someone teach you how to do something, especially when it is the women. You know, women handle the kitchen, so they have to be exploring. If you're a man, learn your wife's language. Learn to tell your wife "I love you" in her language. She will relate to it at the fundamental level than using any other expression. It's so much important that even tribes, because of culture, we have different ways of expressing love to our spouse, which is culturally the foundation comes from culture. And it is very fair if you get the typical and you know my yaya fra kakra ya got na igbe kakra ya da gomba kakra ya ko ya nam ho ni na yehu be one way na o kan chiku na de kasa foforo bi fra. But it is critical that as long as we love each other, we are going to give birth to children who are going to be learning from us from here. Your children should have even that foundation where they are going to learn a little Igbe, a little Nkran, so that they appreciate the tribe of both parents from growing up. You say every time we bako de nbeko ni krum sa bako de ka akra onya bi mfa nko no, they should have that flair to grow up. So it's critical. Learn, not just learn anything. Learn the food, how they cook the food. Learn the language. Basic expression is enough. It will save you one day. When you go to your wife's hometown and the family members say you've acquired a lot of wealth, they should kill you quickly. You will know what to do and come home. That is just by the way. I'm not saying your wife is going to kill you because of your property, but just by the way. Learn it. It will help you love yourselves better. Since say we are now be fufu sa bwampesi sa ama igbenia enkruma
ya sesa mitaban
now she was senior are you not tired when you go to your husband's hometown or your wife's hometown and they are sitting down talking laughing blah, 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 and you become toy sitting down for the past 10 years you've not even learned any phrase, or even if you have learned something small and they are discussing, you may not be able to communicate, but you can get the meaning of what is happening and probably offer some advice to your. I think now you can them and say after translator. We can almost say no. It's time for you may start small phrases, but with time, since marriage is a very long journey, 5 years, 4 years, you can be able to express yourself, and even it will go a long way to improve your couple's love for each other.
Okay. It will surely go a long way to improve it. So deliberately want to learn some of the cultures, especially the languages. So we are looking at navigating cultural differences in marriage. So if you are doing the listening, you can join the conversation on 0249 535 600. That's 0249 535 600 or 03720994141 03720994141. If you have an experience you want to share with us, trust me, we will welcome it. So you can join the conversation. If you also want to contribute, you can also join us and contribute to our discussion as we look at navigating cultural differences in marriage, love without borders. We can't just marry country people and our hometown people alone. You know, that's intermarriage, you know. It is there. The intermarriage is there. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Pastor in the Yabua.
Yabua.
Mammy,
Yabua Frevi.
And it's
fine.
Victim.
Okay, Yabua, it's you.
The no one is sorry. I'm see, and your money will be more casting case. Nothing is Shiano. Ama, it will be a kitchen. You enjoy because I did you going to mehyɛ aseɛ sɛ ka mesua me yere adie na mewɔ ebi wɔ hɔ a yɛ na ɛyɛ te sɛ meka neɛ ɛbɛtumi ama makae asɛm a mepɛ sɛ meka nti ɛbɛduru mmerɛ bi na afei ayɛ te sɛ asɛ meyɛ no rɔp anaa mehuru no nti ɔka kyerɛ me sɛ saa na ɛteɛ bi a menyae ɛfiri hɔ no maanyɛ bibi ɛkɔpem ɛnɛ na afei nso so ɛyɛ awareɛ mu amammerɛ ne amanneɛ no nso so a ɛno nso so yɛka ho asɛm no ɛno nso so deɛ mahunu ne sɛ asɔre a aba seesei no nti ama nneɛma no bebree wɔ hɔ a yɛa ne yɛ katakata so gye sɛ wokɔ kɔduru baabi a aniberɛ aba sɛde kafrakye baabi a ayɛ sɛ owuo titiriw ɛba no na mpɛ sɛ mebɔ tribe biara ɛdin na mmom deɛ mahu no sɛ ebi asi pɛn ama mate pɛn mahu bi so pɛn sɛ ɛkɔba sɛ nnipa no wu wie a afei ɛna na yɛba bɛbusa sɛ wɔ sɛ woyɛ sei wɔ sɛ woyɛ sei na ɛsaa te sɛ yɛhyɛw aniberɛ ɔho nti aniberɛ no a yɛhyɛ wo no ɛno na ɛbɛma wo wɔhu sɛ sɛ na nka wɔ sɛ wosua saa nneɛma no ɔho ɛno nti yɛ a ɛbɛyɛ sɛ sɛ yɛsua wei saa bere yi nka yɛma yɛ asɔre no nso so ɛnhu sɛ nneɛma no bi wɔ hɔ a ɛwɔ sɛ yɛboa ma yɛkyerɛkyerɛ yɛasɔre mma no nso so ɛfiri sɛ nka ɛno nso bɛboa yɛn paa na wɔ nkwanni asa so mede ase pii
na yɛboa
maame
yɛka asɔre ne amammerɛ are they not two different things altogether?
Yes, they are two different things altogether. But me mahunu say, the mahunu na me kasi say me ko awaregie emrebi dem prim kura na mpensa. Na mpem nemu nyina no. Ba ko e ko ye no, ye kaya ma ekosi say ye ne kire osofo no kura say abusua no de e na ye awaregie no, enye asore de no. Pepe na ye no. Eno nye de eye aware no. Awareɛ no ankasa no ne deɛ yɛagye no wɔ fie asɔre bi si wɔn deɛ wɔnyɛ nsa nso awareɛ mu akan amammerɛ mu woyɛ deɛ ni a nsa no ka ho because nsa a yɛsɛ yɛde bible baeɛ no ship yɛde bible baeɛ no a na yɛde nsa nso so baeɛ ɔho ada na ɛna yɛnyi nsa no mfirim sɛ ship no de bible ba nti yɛnyi nsa no mfirim ɔho nti deɛ ɛnti na mɛmɛ susu sɛ ɛbɛyɛ a nkɛbɛboa a ɛnyɛ na ɛnyɛ sɛ asɔfoɔ no nso so ɛmfa saa ayi no ɛnto wɔn adi no na nka akyerɛkyerɛ no aboa yɛ nyinaa that's yo
nti no ɔse asɔfoɔ no nkyerɛkyerɛ I don't know how asɔfoɔ no bɛkyerɛkyerɛ this ɔmo kɔsua amammerɛ different because amammerɛ different na ɛwɔ nsɔre mu na ɛnyɛ agorɔ. Hello, good evening. Pacha first off refi hello oh line name da ho hello line engina yie kra nti no ne o kan ne twetwa sisi menya odin no na o frɛ fi gina yie na sign frɛ me why say wa gina yie na sign frɛ me na line ne mu nya kra line ne mu nya yeah hello yeah good evening mpacha frɛ say na frɛ fi
mpacha JK ni me kase free esi
JK see you mate JK yetio
yeah say topic na mo de bae no ayaye enika ene eniji na amamre ni bi wo ho a in fact there are still some custom that senior me brother na odi kan kasa no we can't mention names, but the culture is so barbaric. Say, enya within themselves, na we are different. Na wa ko rema, ebeye din. They themselves really understand why they are still in that culture. Although the modernized ones, they've been able to abstain themselves from that their culture, but some of them still there is no way you can stop them from that culture. Now, Emma, we are different now. Per se, we Jide nyame yɛ wɔ adom na ɛyɛ modern one na fine, but it's still the typical ones ne deɛ ɛbɛyɛ den sɛ wo nipa different ɛbɛkɔkɔ rem na ebinom wɔ hɔ a megye di sɛ nea mekan maame AKB wɔne me ɛbɛdi adanse sɛ yɛzi saa nkɔmmɔ no bi, and you realize that it is not the best to go by. That is that aspect. Nea yɛka wɔ ɔsɔfo no mu deɛ megye di sɛ ɛsono ebia some churches, because me baby a me sumi for example no President Church of Ghana ɔman ate ase sɛ wokɔgye aware a nea ɛyɛ amammerɛ no, you as an agent of the church, you have no hands in that. What their custom says, what their culture says, you need to accept. And whoever of your member that is going in, either the woman or the man's side, you need, because so you must do it, because that is the proper marriage that you have to go. When you bring it into the church, you are now coming for the blessings. So the church is not to initiate the marriage for you. No. Wakwaji aware naba na ubaji inshira. Enti amamre die meta hu na me die ma ware die me die mempini ma yantua nsa me because ye wubwa yamfa nsa na ochere aware ne endimu. Until whatever the culture says that you should do in marriage, you need to go by. Ebinimiji smoke 6. No maji nantwi aka ho, no maji kraman. Utumi ko bebi na okacho so wan fa tawana nka ho a marriage in endimu. So you need to go back to the market, go and buy the tower, buy the cola, buy the cowries, come and sana omaji awarenetum, which the church legally recognized. And sana baba sorry no ne ashira so. Nti on the part of the church and on the part of the culture, we really blend it together perfectly, because say the papa ne kind ship na edi Bible no buy sa ship na edi nsa buy. And if you want to go with the Bible, you must also go with that of the culture. Madam say.
So yeah, that's it, Papa JK. And no, still your lines maybe you can join us 0249535600. Was it 0249? We are name we clear pa. Until mo friend no na ebebo 0249535600. Now so afre na what you watching in discussions discussing cultural differences in marriage. Okay, and there are some of the cultures, like as one of the callers said, when it comes to death, you will never know until
Issues come up.
come up, or not just death, but there are a lot of the cultures. Maybe I just said, you get to know as and when
Yes, you see,
issues come up.
the fact that they keep those aspects secret is part of their culture. One say, our elders didn't just wake up one day and decided to behave in a particular way.
Okay.
Sometimes because they were minority in certain areas, because of the wars that were happening, because of certain conditions, they decided to protect themselves by bringing out certain rules and regulations for them to live by.
Okay.
Oh, unfortunately, in our age, some of the tribes are still minority. They are still scared about certain things. There are people going and not coming back, or they are some have even laws and rules of like within a certain period you must visit home, which is part of their culture. Yes, so your wife may tell you, oh, once in a while these children have to visit their grandparents. It's part of those things. And so yes, they are barbaric, not a standard for our living today, but we should know that they are living that way if we should dig into the history of some of this barbaric thing we are talking about here, we will come to appreciate why they brought those rules. This guinea fowl, 5 guinea fowl thing. I wish you could have dig deeper.
Yeah, unfortunately, I went on monitoring.
Monitoring, okay.
I couldn't stay.
If you are dug deeper to know why they,
there would have been a reason.
why do they keep it a
No,
secret?
she gave just one reason, but I'm sure
Yeah, there are other, yes, there are other reasons. They would have come to tell you why and Yamani be sano hidden in Yamani be so why. I believe you're paying for no dear. They never did anything for fashion. You should know that. They never did any of the cultural rules, whatever. There was a reason behind it. Only that in our days, we see some of the reason, advance of technology, we see some of the reason as not valid. So, yes. So, okay. Now say, baby, I'll call Rano. Hold on to so. Because then you have to find a way to of that is love. If I should coincidentally attribute it to one story in the Bible, Ruth and Naomi. It says, your God will be my God, your people will be my people. Literally, if your people eat whatever, if they serve an idol, whatever it is, that is another level of love to be shown in that state. So yeah.
Okay, so 19 minutes past 9 o'clock. We're still looking at navigating cultural differences in marriage. So the phone lines are still open. You can join us on 02-49535600, 02-49535600. Now, coming back to our discussion, let's look at how cultural differences can impact marriages. That cultural differences between partners can impact their relationship. Sammy.
Yeah, AKB. So the first is language, which you are talking about.
Sammy, hold on, man. Yeah, hello. Good evening. Hello.
Yeah, I'm calling from Kumbuyele.
Kumbuye. You said the name again?
My name is Simon.
Simon Kumbuyele. Okay, Simon, let's hear you.
Yes. When they talk of culture, supposing your wife's father and the mother all are non-Christians, you to your father and mother or everybody is a Christian. Where is the culture now? It's for the Christianity that has no culture. You see, the culture is falling because human beings are falling race. So that's why Jesus Christ came. There's no perfect culture. So once you are born again, you know God. Your wife family know God. You have to do something to please God, not culture. So the culture is linked to the adults they were watching in the past. So this thing about you have to drink, it's not about God. It's about something they were doing that was helping their ancestors. So now we are all Christians. Whose culture do we follow now? It's not Christ's culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's your view. Thank you very much. So before you continue, do you believe or do you agree with what he said?
I think I have from the ones that I mentioned, marriage is cultural. Marriage is not religious or religion. It is not Christian or it's not Islamic. Marriage is cultural, and that is why I said Christ did not come to take away that culture away. Okay, if you are a Christian, you came from somewhere. You are from a particular culture tribe. Okay. You have a name. Even names. When I'm doing counseling for primary yet to be couples, even the meaning of your name
is important.
Is important for us to discuss. A whole session is left for name, meaning, understanding of your name alone. And then
what's the history behind it?
Your friend me appear. And then you told me a J appear. There's a reason. A day appear and I want to see it. Quite my watch I want to see it. A year then as I didn't cry by. Since I'm so bang and as I didn't in your
Christopher Diane, Lord Supper.
It is all part.
I need the other.
And yes, you are Christians. Yes, no one is taking that away. Christ culture, where is it? Which one is it? Which one is Christ culture? And I've just mentioned Christ came and he went to a wedding ceremony, a marriage ceremony. And that is where all Christians we believe that when we say what is the first miracle of Christ, that's what we mention. It was at a wedding ceremony. When someone dies, we perform a funeral rites.
Yeah.
Lazarus died. Christ went for the funeral. Christ went for the funeral. If you die as whoever, is it? Do you have something you call Christian funeral? We don't have any Christian funeral. It is where you come from.
They come and do church, so.
Obey your church and so. Mommy call away. Hello. Hello. Okay.
So AKB, yeah, you are Christopher, all right. But I'm mamre,
And even like you're saying, when it comes to marriage, without the traditional one, I don't think that a foreigner will do whatever they want to do.
And that is even the marriage. I don't know. Yana me can say Biana.
I say I'm your friend engagement. That is the marriage.
Nimdian trust. Nimdian trust. The friend engagement, you know, a coco. You can say engagement, a coco na we engage.
Yeah.
Only a bushia could see a dear, ya bushia, I saw a fabra, a qua, a aware.
Okay, Mammy call said, Namia, hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Okay. Your name and where are you calling us from, please? James. Okay, James, let's hear you. James.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
So let's hear you, please. James, OTMA. Ola ne mu nda hokra nti de fasa other land when friend no hwese be no be clear why. Enti troma me 024. Ochro. 0249 535 600. What na number no? Until they miss not friend mommy because we know the it means say no be clear. Number no 0249 535 600 0249 535 600. Intimacy of eno na yen hwese bia no ebegina so e de amawa 0249 535 600 and 600 enti no ofre no I'm say James na abano. Hello James ube already na chon ho kakra ma be why. Hello hey you to ahoma so ne ho ode. Hello you ti James ahoma so no ne ho ode pon be say James ebe kasa. Okay, Captain say interesting discussion. Best regards to my senior
Captain,
colleagues from my joyful born car. Captain, ya feel pa. Yes, you hope you say BBI. Okay. You know, still talking about religion and then
Yeah,
culture.
AKB. So let me put it clear that in Ghana, in the laws of Ghana, we don't have anything like Christian marriage. People should get that clear. We have what we call customary marriage.
Yeah.
Then we have what we call ordinance marriage, marriage by ordinance.
Okay.
Then we have what we call the Mohammedan marriage.
Okay.
These are
Hello?
the three recognized
Yeah.
marriages.
Hello?
legally in Ghana.
Yeah.
I
Hello.
said they go through.
Aye, Abba.
The pastor, yes, the freshly, the victim,
Vitin, yeah, for saying.
Tina.
Tina. Okay, Tina, it's you.
The American says, we are in a need. Not say you Ashtown. Where you call Savannah. You see, maybe I will know a whole culture and alpha. And you know, so we are in a need, not say you Ashtown. Not say one warrior Santinia. What is your culture? It's a bit of me, say, Miss Miss, now, you know. I'm not culture, Nankasanu, you culture. So we are going to not say what a coaster. And I say, well, Cape Coaster. What is your culture? That our culture is not there. You take whatever is there. So we call Safa. There are some Northerners who are called Kofi Mensa, Kofi Usu. But they are Northerners. They don't even know which part of the North they come from. Because they were born and bred there. Their parents never brought them. So in short, though they are Northerners, but they don't know which part of the North they come from. So everything of them is the Asante culture. You understand? So me, I think that this culture thing, it's a hard time we come out of it and see what the way forward.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yo, Tina, thank you very much.
Let me just quickly put these two together. And
Okay.
then,
The titles will come.
so the first I'm saying is that in Ghana, by the laws of the land, there is nothing called Christian marriage.
Yamfa we ni fanka ho. Yamfa we nka ho. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mpacho ye friend me Osei.
Yo, what's that for everything?
Me kase free Auza Zongo.
Yo, what's that? How's that zongo yet you?
Metu aminu abai die isu kakra ansa na mahye media asia. Wo ye se bidagomani na kwotene santimemu. Na ye uwu akwala ohwa, uwu eba ohwa. Media minimum se oye dagomani. Sebio ye kaka sebi se ahwia nipodia ewo hokra oya ahwia. Oya nden kra oya ahwia ne ho entimi sisa. Enti se yen na nde no ya fe bibia serious. Ina ye fa foreign culture no mum, ina ye say yen culture no. Anything na ye hu eniama esa. Ise memma tu kwan akwa tena baby na ma wo a. Enti na memba na ye ho ni ana. Debi no amamre nti o se me di mamamre no e kire me nkwara no. Ba yi na omwo ho ne de. Region no mwo mu ne de. Ombefa enubi. But ye was say medi omba me kuromu nso momba eba besua me kuromu ekasa na ase me kuromu amamre no muhu bebi ebi ena anase eja no ofri mpa mebure no yen aware no nde no mihia no wakwantuo mu adwuma mu yaware ye ne ebe ya ansa akora ne akohu abusua nti ubi bia kwakodi ni nchen no na makwa busua ho na ye ka bibi no umu akodi mu nti no mfumoso bi wo kora wabu ani agoso na waware ena di ohaw ene aware jai bebre ebre ye and then me famu de sa ena me ye den mi hu no yeah nti kakra meka afa ehun enono.
Okay.
Na yen samra. Okay, obi nka bi. Eni nti no da foforo no. yɛsua wei a mede nyame wɔ ɛbɛtoa so.
Mate. Now that for you discuss it, the same topics were.
Ɛberɛ na ɛbɛkyerɛ.
Mate.
Topic.
Mate, time will tell. Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we sure. Interesting contributions.
Yeah, interesting contributions coming up. So okay, like I said, there is nothing like Christian marriage in Ghana. It is the ordinance marriage, and that should I say principle of the ordinance marriage, which is one man, one woman, which is the same as what the Bible talks about, and that is why we have taken it as it is the Christian marriage. But no, people who are not even Christians can go in and have the ordinance marriage, and that is it.
Which they do.
They do.
Yeah.
Again, it is what the laws have delegated.
Your pastor.
It's a part of its powers to, should I say, the church, because under normal it's supposed to be officiated at the marriage registry, which is at the district assembly or at the courts. But the the laws have delegated a part of that responsibility to maybe the priest of the church who has been gazetted to be able to officiate on behalf of the registrar.
Okay.
And again, if the church is also gazetted, then that marriage can be officiated at that building. So there are people who are even married, AKB, they are officiated at their church, which is not gazetted. And so that marriage in the laws of the country, Sasemba, it is not recognized.
So one court.
Exactly. If your church is not recognized, it's not gazetted. Now, when your court now sign just to come and do the public show, now sorry them on our sign certificate. No, it is not legally recognized.
Yeah.
If your pastor or your priest, the one officiating the marriage, is not legally gazetted, now officiating marriage no, in the laws of the country, that marriage is not recognized. Asemba and abengu sa wawari enka awari amremu yajiatumu. Until we should get that clear. The second one is just the culture issue, where you are born and all that. If you are born in a different place, but you are whatever tribe, the issue or the basis is that you need to go and learn your culture.
Now, Sammy, the point is that even if culture no cry, it will move. In the sense,
exactly.
Me asantinia me
Yes.
my betina had na me wumi ba wa ha me say ye wo me wa ha ana matina ha che eti no say me wo me ba me ye mama mre ne te say da go mama mre. I don't think ebe ye juma sa.
Maybe this will put our mother's mind to rest.
Okay.
Bear in mind that the slaves who were picked from Ghana sent to the US,
They are tracing their ancestries.
they are all dead though. Their ancestors, their children, generations after generation, are now running
back to
their roots to know where they came from, possibly learn the language. In fact, just recently, the president gave, I think, 500 of them citizenship. Why? Because they want to know their culture. They now feel where they are is not, they are just there, but they really belong to this place. It is walk over. If you have given walk over or baby, yes, a whole normal way of life na akwala ne befa. But baby akwala ne free pa and yes akru.
Enyira last call line yanko.
Hello, mommy.
Yes.
Your boy near my baby na say ye shama as a topic no ye change Ni mom di anka meme susu ni se nkebe ya ke yenhwe na yempe eda foforo na yempe enti obi a ombe kirikire enime mame ye hunu amamre ene amane ena afei so de onipa no ye ka amamre a na se abusua a wofiri mu no de awo no enna ne eja
ɛna echi ɛna ufiri a yɛkyerɛ wo amammerɛ ɛne wamanie na nye baabi a yawo sɛnea na maame no ɛpɛ sɛ ɔkyerɛ mu no timisrɛ mo yɛnhwɛ na yɛnhwɛ nka deɛ yɛka sesi a yɛwie a na mmerepɛ mu no sɛ mobɛyɛ na mapɛ ɛda foforɔ so ama obi a ɔbɛba bɛkyerɛkyerɛ saa nneɛma no so anka ɛm sɛ kɛbɛboa yɛ
ɔbɛkyerɛkyerɛ dɛ saa amammerɛ
sɛ
no
yawo sɛ mefa sɛ okay papa ne maame awo papa ne maame baabi a ɔmo firi no papa firi Mampɔn maame susu firi nti baabi a kwabere nti baabi a o maame a na o papa firi no ɔmo mmienu no enkyi ɛna ɛyɛ amammerɛ asɛm a yɛreka no nti deɛ wusua biribi a deɛ wɔsɛ wusua firi ɛyɛ o maame ɛne o papa enkyi but yɛyɛ akanfoɔ no anasɛ asantefoɔ no ɛsiane sɛ yɛfa afiri yɛ maame nom side nti no wo maame deɛ no ɛna wobɛsua na amammerɛ ɛwɔ hɔ no ɛne amanneɛ a ɛwɔ hɔ ɛwɔ awareɛ mu no ɛhɔ ɛne deɛ wobɛsua afiri because wowɔfa ɛna ɛbɛgyina ama ebia woyɛ ɔbaa wo papa ɛna ɛbɛgyina hɔ ama yɛde wo ama nti na amammerɛ ɛyɛ wo papa afa mu no ɛna ɛwɔ sɛ bɛrima no yɛ den osua afiri nti na meka sɛ nka bɛyɛ a yɛmpɛ da foforɔ na nka ɔmo bɛtumi aba bɛkyerɛkyerɛ saa nneɛma no ani so no yɛnsua bi nka ho medase pii okay
nti no sɛ yɛmmerɛ no nɔɔso bio mu nti no yɛbɛtoa so so Titus wie na yɛntoa so
so I'm saying say ne yɛka yɛwɔ ha yɛn we are saying that baby no does not.
It doesn't really matter.
It does. We can.
It's your place of birth.
Oh yeah, place of birth.
It's not your hometown.
In your hometown. Who feel for my bisa place of birth? Ni asan bisa hometown.
So there are two different things.
Difference womb. So.
Okay. So Sammy, quickly, let's come back to our question: how cultural differences between partners impact.
Yes. So I think
marriage.
the first is the language. So akanina makwako ware emfan say mabetana of kakra na nti mfan say da bumen na meware no na me to me simi nsua da gbani me me susu nsua atwia ye be da kasa na yin bisa nkra say ye de ko
na mushia da boss
e bia satan
mo da boss mo
enu dey say we sign ya we sign obo we ni kra ultimate as
na bi so e ka bo
etina bofna number 2 aso akai
but yes but sometimes like you said, there are some expressions that you really need the local language to do it. And that is what really defines it very well. AKB, how many times now would me be one okatre nana say me do as compared to say obeka say I love you. We are easily able to say I love you.
Me don't know.
But you be I know I can't hear
I'm not like do.
That is it.
But and also a rough
really
that is what will enter the spirit.
That is where the impact is actually is.
Me don't know, you're talking to the soul.
Yes. But I love you, they ask a question. And sometimes we need that. And just like we say, family dynamics. When we visit family, okay, now they say at a brother. But abusuana omote brofo nana ebi omonte nis omonte how do I communicate with them? How do you communicate with them? So language is very very key, very very important. I know somebody who said ona de na ma de o say ka try na say obunwa robi a ote omokasa eno bi ojo o mutme de aduane ba yes
so
there's an effect on Kwarukurum ni.
But said American, if I like I said, some of us are cans, but we eat TZ like we are from we are the Bombers.
Are you papa bipa?
Janas, I have a friend who has gone to the US. She's an Akan, a typical Akan. She's not craving for any other food.
Wasa.
But TZ. TZ and all craving for. And language areas is one thing that really it impacts how we actually communicate and all that. Family community engagement, like I said, we visit family. How do we actually blend? Because you feel like you don't belong. Now you feel like you don't belong. AKB. That connection doesn't help.
You're even tagged.
Exactly.
You're not children.
I was say, yes, chef is very, very, very important that we need to actually values and all that. There are family values, there are cultural values. You go to certain places, they can be omu wonema omu kremu. Omu ni brehun. And to say, we will be our own share sad because of where you are coming from. Maybe I would say that here, Miss Me say that here. And they say, yeah, not Santi as always, you know, may yes and may yeah, DB. And it is based, it is actually informed by my culture. And to make us a mayor, no, because you don't actually understand those values. It could be at the edits and some a year by micro and person me quite year. Probably because it be out there a year and shed and yet a dear a son will be brave or Muslim Munti and as a Mokocha Munti. Because I may quite year and I'll quite year eka. Yes, upper year kododo. But that is what the values of my culture is. That is the values of my culture. But when maybe it will be a different thing. Adriane. Maybe I may culture moody, Adriani way dear. My near, I can anywhere never food knows what. And I'm going to be something now who your proper candy because who ain't there. You got one and for Munya can phone you now.
No, wasn't
Mamma busy. The time is like, oh, you better you're proper. And that is it. But typically, that is how it's supposed to be. Say, I can afford the fufu biti.
No fufu so near pussy.
A pussy man. Oh, but make us say, oh no, we are fantini. Fantini, I can afford right. But say, make an abono, sante, equiapim, achim, fanti, neck account. Fantini so dear, upper the achichi.
Nom to me, a share week.
And to Uko Wari Fantini Bemba. Now, why are you saying, own chia?
And
the assembly bebo. What's so number now? It was all no about.
Remember that, they send them no yes. Chief one watching a flat them.
That's what said the Moku.
And Kwan Namun Nimkra Miraja.
AKB, Nina, idea. And one thing, like I indicated earlier on, is about stereotyping and biases.
Okay.
Say you boo obi culture and India. One major key issue. Say, may I can worry a different tribe. Na say me who say me no me son chain any other person. We are a beni what be worry different tribe. Na who say oh sombo or tribe is so important than the other tribe. AKB, my sister na fit my sister fit. If there is that stereotyping and that biases of culture, then there is no way we are going to have a very loving relationship. So oyere no okunuti na just like you say na okunu ede ne yere amamre esre no. Sometimes we can play jokes and we play around things, but that is a different thing. But it can be say ube hunu say oh the amamre de enya yi na say na o kan somewhere a tree a day shall be because the person is from a particular tribe.
Culture, yeah.
That is really something that is always happening in where we have cultural marriages, because the other partners is me mabusu amudi and say me baby mama mreno esumbo ten odi nti and all that. It doesn't actually really help. So these are some few things that are hard. Okay, let me just say this. Opening go judge. So what in the
Yeah. One of my role models in counseling.
Yeah. Oya bunoni. na na yere ayenzimani
Tio. And now what can you say?
nere yenzimani na or say from the beginning of the marriage no on say bono ne enzima omu nyina ya kanfo but on say ye ka akanya pa one way on ka
fanzima phone come.
See, he was really having all those thoughts and looking at how obey ma and ma aye way obey blended. And did you know what? I say omo wo man. I say men ka say me nkora ne ya abonofo. And men some ka say nkora no so eyensimafo. And ye be kan say ye be kan nkora no, ye be kan two tribes no abo. And bono ABOR NG said and I spelled in the face. And Anzima ANZEMA. And our fat 3 letters of Bon. And our fat 3 letters of Zima. So I in a bronze. Tigrani a bronze. That's
a bronze. I don't know.
And in Tia, say, we free. Baby of you know, Sebi, or more any way, or more say, or more you see, and your habit pray, and these are things that we actually see in many marriages.
Okay, right. So these are things.
Let me add just one more, since he has given a very comprehensive.
Okay.
One impact, tribal, cultural differences. What our so is. The differences in the way we love and receive love.
Okay.
It's very critical. We fire our dream koso. But a member fee certain cultural existence perceive women in a particular way. As Antifo was in Sumuma. If you come to the north here, they also have that kind of was saying almost perception. A man who culture now build a man into a particular level. Odo in a particular way.
Okay.
And a man so odo in a particular way. And when there are two cultures that meet, sometimes you can get the love to be better or worse in a way. Strangely in the north here, I've heard some Southerners who see northern women as very respectful, and some of the women in quote who have dated Southerners tell me that was some of their most joyous relationship they've enjoyed. So you can see the difference, the love from the separate ones. Can you imagine a northerner who has married a southerner? That's one to heaven from the perspective, because this is a southerner who is going to treat a northern woman as Asantini Eba, and you know how we do it. In another way altogether. Whilst in the same cultural setting, the men here otherwise have different. It's possible that even a man in the north will marry a southerner and do the things he will not do if he should have married a northern woman. Because some men will think that, well, baby, we are talking about learning, and yes, sir. Abayo we are or Asantini, Asante for me, baby, this is how they are loved, or this is how their men do things. So from learning that impact is also very, very critical when two cultural backgrounds come together. In fact, you get to taste different food. So we are Santinia. Now we are Santinia, and if you no be dear, woody fufu. See a woman. Yankopon ye wa doma.
So be nya daje awon anope wi ehime.
Just say the same, they say the more yam when they call machine. This is among people.
Yeah, mama nyam munya Asante for papa. Asante ni papa de wu petim timo.
But
Team.
that
Machine no more koya man na
and
remember asante ni pass the open me post
team kakra.
Me post.
So when you look at food dynamics, it's also another big impact. Is it the way to somebody's heart is through his stomach, through the diverse cultures that we are exposed to, through love. You get to taste different food and even appreciate. Obi crying favorite. If you don't take care, you change your favorite food from fufu to TZ. You know, Obi kwa bruchira something. You kwa bruchira. You can't no fufu. TZ. So. Or such a particular place. A particular place. I was idea never. So it has a lot of impact. Some marry into different culture, and all of a sudden they just love the food of that culture. And just by loving the food the wife cooks from her tribe, they tend to love the wife because she does the best. Some women are also able to learn the other culture's food, spice it up, and then even tell you that, oh, me you do and the same in that order. So it has a whole lot of impact on us when it comes to love. We sometimes love people because of their culture, how they even exhibit or they portray their culture from that background. There are people who decide not to enter into their certain areas because the way of life of those set of people we are talking about, the impact it will have on him. We have said it here. It is not just the way the people are living, because the people the way they are living has built them to act in a particular way. It is all arena. The way if you marry a guy, they have a way of quarreling. Yes, because they are closer to the sea, they talk on top of their voice. So if the person was born in Tamale, then fine. And even if, but if he has stayed in Accra,
the coastal areas,
you see, say, I always tell people that this is critical. Just look at it. Has the person lived in that typical environment? How long? Has he moved? Is the person exposed to different environment? When you are consider, because exposure will reduce certain things, will polish certain things, will make you even throw certain things away. When you value all these things, you can minimize some of the negative impacts the cultures have on people in mind. So one share is say, "What do we take a shame tra? Yeah, don't cry. Won't you?" Everyone say, "Ajita."
That's it. That must be and I think sometimes to the positive ones, no, you can easily learn them.
Yes.
Yeah. Before you enter.
Yeah.
But the negative ones, any issues ever no, and as we said, no, it comes as and when the issue arises.
Negative being
okay, make one worry as messy. Free hey. Na ebia a year ba say and a honor will I be able to stand? I remember I accompanied a friend who married a Voltarian. Okay, and as Sammy said, no, even within that region, they have different cultures. And when we went, they said that Friday night she had to stay with the corpse. That happens to be her husband.
Yeah.
So the next day, I'll say, "Mammy, so if Antony will say, Mala, Oma who baby cry or fire." Yes. Oma who baby cry or fire. Also, ame.
I'm going to your phone in channel.
If you know my adventure, so then.
But when you my free,
Bonnie Bang. And culture ne the same bebree.
But Titino, the olden days, our parents were so much critical about it. Say, what they will be fear. Those were the basic questions they will ask. abaya ufrihi groben oye dini. Those were their major concern, because they believe that the culture you come from, the tribe, the culture, all these things has a lot of information for them to be able to. So onime juma oye ene wo kwa e bi say juma oye say wo free space kra na wo say oh oye juma wen onya boss certain worker oye that kind na ejatum mba ebe na ba be no hwande. But they were much concerned about how the person has lived, where he has lived, and
where you come from.
Yes, there's some of the attributes and character he has built over the period. Okay. That was what our elders were concerned. But
so it's 2 minutes to 10 o'clock. So quickly, let's look at navigating these cultural differences in marriage before we go.
Yeah, AKB. So it's briefly, it's about your willingness to learn.
Okay.
Learning is very, very important. At the end of the day, why I saw do you have to learn. So one person will be learning, you need to adapt. Sebi me akani mere da gomani na onim fufu ye na TZ no be ya o sa me adapt na midi na ono so hwese de be ya ono so betumi adapt en so asua fufu
ye. Okay,
that is the basic thing. So we compromise. Okay, this is just what we need. This is just what we need, so that for us to understand ourselves and then respect each other's culture. That is the basic thing. Okay, kasado do ni na enko. Learn, adapt, compromise, understand each other's culture and respect each other's culture. That is just the basic. Say here we don't have issues. Here we don't have issues.
Let me.
Respect is very, very key.
Respect.
Very key. Sans AKB, so why is a coffee hot dear? Then also the need a mafia. I'm not any penny food, but also the
and you cry in it.
Because the issue is that I don't say I can for you can say warrior or whatever bush. And any pan on Kuna or warrior who are a bush. This all where a bush idea. Let me say, what be can't sa or mine. And as a sa croon, sa mamma, what can be? Into a mamma and a crowd of a say, bua, a mamma, some mamma. Then where we go, and I'll buy.
Santifo, only a bad too.
Santifo
problem.
Santifo the car.
Santini, as I Bamenka, Santini, where I be near. Oh, as Santini back or I be near Bema. Akwalani ye bibia side before this. So I give that some credit.
Another one, just based on what he has said. And the same opening I learned a lot from him.
Yes. It's fountain of knowledge.
That may pair the exact quotes, but I want to paraphrase it. Say, I want to say, body can say, oh, Sanku Fuku, where they say na. Omotie. I no correct. But then, I say quiet. Quiet needs to go near no kusu. But so could rock quiet anymore. Is it Drebia or when it's and oh, Sanku Fuku, where dear, almost by saying it to you. But oh, room, I can do to say, it be a sunny pakroya. Mobano air water and as any background, oh, water no. Ocean is Subaya. A different from general
trend.
And the fat and Kufukuni in soup and fam massa nipa. Only nipa better na momuno ya hunu say o free circle Kufukunu a general thing. Even though I be individual, one soup our ba and I was say oh shit. And the woman fat and Kufukuni in sunu and mamma yet say sana nipano onosoti esan say e bia baka say engufu ko e do munyo na so ye woni pa ba ku bi wo mu a omonye enso no wa ye papa and now your papa. And this ofano general debia na sa nipa no a ono tie na all your papa no o tesa asem no a woni sa nipa na setna nya den emfi. And yes, your general way I can all right, but ye komukomu at say quiet here dua bia nso ewo
okay, just a little caution to those who have cultural differences in their marriage. People tend to say, oh, me kunu die odinisa, me kunu die openisa. Like they give themselves excuses as to why they wouldn't learn something pertaining to their spouse, their other partner. Don't be deceived. You see, culture is deeper than we are thinking. Our brother was talking about, say, quiet. The general forest has its characteristics, but within the forest, there are people who have been transplanted to the various places, so the trees may look different. But there's also a psychological thing about safety. When people want to find safety, when they are scared, when we are backed in a very typical corner, we fall on people we trust to advise us. We may be somewhere, but in critical moments, Obi say Obi tufu, and a football most of the time is culturally based. Maybe in the near future, we will dig deep and we will talk about certain typical characteristics of various tribes and cultures that you should look out for. Maybe how it has changed over the years. And the men assume me say, oh, me couldn't the minimum fufu, but when it is that on country me pacho. Okwa bontia o take control. One she na ba we fufu ye nkwan bi ma no. Waboka.
Me say obi de fufu. Ye twa no double. Eji obi kuno. Yes.
Pepe na me ka kiro.
Papa ni bie na no say o si ni enti a oja na say yire ewo fufu a no watwa no ba ko pe. E de ato ade mama no.
I rest my case.
Nsese a no twa no toa mienu.
Thank you.
Anu watwa ne ha. No de ato. Enu nko a ti ko bia ware.
Pepe enti don't relax. Say my husband accepts it like that. Oh, as for my husband, he's a cool guy. He will not even talk about it. Trust me. Say my money chrome no fear. For my money in the duane. And yes, one day will be the Kobe to a jemu pet. Obi here copy. No nye di pet.
Na waka.
Hey.
Wow, it's been an interesting evening. Trust me, it's been a wonderful discussion, and I loved our listeners who also called in to really enrich our discussion with their contributions as well, looking at love without borders, navigating cultural differences in marriage, and that's what we've learned. And I know most of us are in culturally different marriages. Most of us. It's not all of us who have married a country women, like Sami said, onu free ha ni yiri free ha. Minim titles there, so mu nyina ba ko a. Yo, Fanti.
Wasa.
Yo.
See if you ma me kuro.
Say ni nyina, say wasa, say ni nyina ewo.
Come for me.
Ewo honum a. Enti no once
the first time.
Ewo honum na believe say we've learned a lot as to what to do when it comes to navigating the cultural differences. We know what to do. Respect each other's culture. Respect each other's culture, the most important thing, and also learn from your partner's culture. You can learn from your partner's culture as well, be it the food, the language, and any other thing that you need to learn. You can also learn from it, and then it will enhance your marriage a lot. So thanks very, very much for doing the listening as we came your way with love Without Borders, Navigating Cultural Differences. So joining me in the studio to discuss this particular topic has been Sami Ejay, licensed counselor, marriage, and then family therapist, as well as Titus Osei Bobi, who is a relationship expert and then a counselor as well. A very big thanks to all our callers. A very big thanks to all our callers. But before we go, Sammy, what bigger, Kasa?
AKB, who said love 337 years old?
Hey, yeah, you know.
So that was November 2017.
Wow.
And I started love 337.
Wow. Yeah, you knew. Oh, Sammy, no one can tell me I'm champagne. Next week.
Next
We
week,
have
elections.
next week again. Maybe do not. I'm for any break here results. I was said, Satan, a trickle in kitten. Oh, and I had more when you're 3, when you're 52. And I met your elections, Mokrana.
Police station.
Oh, police station, and NDC now 103, and NPP now 120, and I want. So next week, trust me, we will not be here. And next week, Emma, we are back unti. Why do you know elections? No, by next 2 weeks, everybody who our next president is. Into Michelle, we cross. I mean, about to take your opportunity near fan 2 years in I hopeful. Say Ghana no back up, and I mean no. Enyina ye wo enti no asumdwe ne de ye bekoso wa abo ho devru emma politician bia na da wo emma wonkonko ye basa ono politician no ono ne fie wala atoafa ho ne security kura wo ne ho enti agi hey a ono abi mfa no ho menu mienu ene be fa ye ho enti mesrewo ko na koto aba peacefully is a matter of the thumb. Okay, and not the barrel or blows. No, kokromoti power. Honum na 2 minutes na ejina. Fa ekoko team ne opeso. Uwie akofie misra wo. Ukofie a na bon 5. Ni ewie bibia na ye kan. Opese uhwe bi. Ubie wani fili gadochi. Now hwe ne ewom a you go back and then also witness the counting. Ye wie a honum no polling station ho say o party di nkunum a no we di asakakra na akofie no akoto aso tie radio ana ase wo hwe TV mesremo asumdwe ni de ehia ye pa na ase na yi dampare ekan ye no se se wo hwe nkunimdie no na wo hwe nkukuo so yes dan say elections no ase tefra ahwe ase wa nda ye ya obebutu draw ni me no enye ball na draw abem one die ya obebutu inti no be prepared for the outcome. Be prepared for the outcome tineda obi biase nyankopon enhiramo se motie efutu Ghana de ye ma na yefe ye be kukuru no tisa ponche ntokwa kosoro ye wi ani de asi fom boko muma enye ne sa pepepe na bibia enye kama Godfred and Adaruma and your call Facebook live ye dana say so and Seth and oye technician on duty echna kwesi adako Kobompaye Emma Oman Ghana why na bebo yen me ameti ye frame ya kusua kwatima abwachi. God bless you all, have a good night, and most importantly you sleep tight. Bye bye.